Machine pencil cartography. So, I have been trying to breach the topic of projected continuity, and I want you to imagine that I brought out a map and I asked an ordinary person to plot an orienteering course, to plot any course without prior geographic training, and I would tell them about the course that they had plotted. Now, the point of asking the ordinary person to plot an orienteering course is to illustrate that plotting an orienteering course will require map literacy. And reading a course plotted by an untrained navigator is like looking at art drawn by a 5-year-old, i.e., the map is basically a crayon drawing. I have imagined that the map drawn by the untrained course plotter will likely include segments of the course that are obviously not practical. The course plotter will not understand how difficult these courses actually are. They are likely to break some of the cardinal rules that ordinary people follow intuitively when they navigate, such as drawing courses that go straight into water. Or, for a more prudent example, they are also likely to draw courses where the navigator just walks off of cliffs, because the novice course plotter does not comprehend the relationship between the symbols that are displayed on the map and what these topographical features represent. Therefore, it is highly playful to imagine what types of poor courses a novice navigator might choose to plot, because the course plotter lacks map literacy, and this can be a source of comedy or entertainment in the orienteering community. I personally incorporate this exercise as a core exercise in navigation, and I like to imagine that these are actually the best courses to take, and that it simply requires improving ergonomic skill sets in order to complete these difficult orienteering passages without complication. I have planned a discussion topic for this essay. I wanted to discuss projected continuity, and projected continuity is used to discuss a particular navigational topic with specific topography. This topography is laid out in the following way. There are two topographical domains that neighbor each other. They do not overlap. They meet at a boundary called a cobordism. On the near side of the cobordism, the map contains a particular topographical domain, and on the far side of the cobordism, the map contains a different topographical domain. The purpose of projected continuity is to illustrate a person who originated in domain A, who walked across the separating boundary, and has now crossed into domain B. Therefore, when they walk across the boundary, they are continuing across the boundary, and they are projecting their locations from one point in domain A into an adjacent point in domain B. A projective continuity diagram will incorporate any geographical boundary, and it will also involve a navigational course, and it will show the navigator running towards the geographical boundary and crossing it, such that the navigational course meets the geographical boundary and the two map elements will be perpendicular to each other. And according to convention, the course and the boundary will form a 90-degree angle where they meet. So, what are its applications? I originally coined this phrase during an exploration of mountain safety. I was writing demonstrations of people falling off of cliffs. I have noticed that when discussing mountain safety, you don't tell people just don't fall, because gravity is a physical law, and gravity does its own thing. A person cannot control gravity, and the more prudent discussion of how to keep yourself safe in the mountains includes the notion that in order to avoid falling over a cliff, it is crucial that you navigate away from the cliff's proximity, that you are aware of where the cliff is located, and that you're performing the appropriate foot and eye coordination to be saliently aware of the cliff's location while you are navigating near a cliff. A notable phrase that I have included in some cultural commentaries is, "The charted course has projected continuity over cliff boundaries." And the cultural implication of this is that under the reasonable person standard, you could imagine what might occur if you fell over a cliff. This could result in serious injury for the navigator. I often use orienteering tropes as articles of cultural fixation. The purpose of this exercise is to force the interpreter to face a difficult situation, so that the interpreter could imagine how they might adapt to the problem set given. Your first impression of having projected continuity over cliff boundaries might be hopeless, until you imagine that the navigator might have additional opportunities that might conserve their lives. My proposed solution is to get interested in a sport called abseiling, and abseiling is when you go rappelling. These are the same thing. But a person who practices rappelling could navigate a charted course that had projective continuity over a cliff boundary. They could navigate this course successfully, and they could survive this journey. I wanted to include at least a couple more examples of projected continuity over phase boundaries. This time I am discussing an aspect of bathymetric navigation, meaning boats and marine transport, where the selected phase boundary that needs to be navigated is a coastline, which is a phase boundary that connects a continental landmass with a major body of water. And the navigator will have projected continuity, where they come from overland and they are going to set sail and sail out into the water. Or alternatively, they might be making landfall, which is the same operation going in the opposite direction. So this operation meets the basic design parameters of the projected continuity scheme, where the two adjacent domains are one land domain and one water domain, where the person has to navigate a passage over both water and land. This operation is known as portaging, which is explained as the practice of carrying watercraft over land, either around an obstruction in a river or between two bodies of water. In my own personal experience, portaging also refers to packing your boat up and placing it onto your trailer so that you can transport your boat back to its storage place when you are not using it. But this is especially true for recreational boating. The navigational course plotted in a portaging operation is an excellent demonstration of having projected continuity over a phase boundary, and therefore this concept, which I have learned in the hypsometric safety unit, has been neutralized so that it is now applicable in other scenarios as well. The third and final example of projected continuity over a phase boundary that I wanted to share was having an urban wildland interface, where there is an urban area adjacent to a forested area. And there was this famous line delivered by a YouTuber who goes by the name of Pat Mac, where he tries to be cute and he says, "You have to make a beeline for the tree line," which is sort of cute. What it means is that once your task is complete, and there's no longer any purpose in you staying in the same location, he says, your course is set and you are ready to go. Now you can make a beeline for the tree line, which basically means running towards the tree line. On the reverse side of this, it will mean that some person would emerge from the tree line, and perhaps you were in the bear all alone when the stranger walked out of the woods, resulting in surprise. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for letting me share these cultural and ergonomic concepts with you. It really means a lot for me because I have given myself the opportunity to create cultural resources, and it really helps me improve how well my community understands my culture, and this has meant a lot to me because it means that I am having higher rehearsal success. This has been Machine Pencil Cartography, signing out.